Good morning. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And by the way, I'm going for another win this year, so I'll be making you aware in a few weeks how you can, I don't know if they do it by vote. No, they don't do it. I just send in, but just your support. Just keep on supporting. And I host the only online show in the world that is for dads and fathers, that's sponsored by Dove Men Care and also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And through my efforts with myself and in collaboration with those organizations, I've been able to reach out directly or indirectly to 75,000 fathers in the world this year. So we just want to keep it growing. And I am the host of, not the host, I'm the board chair, of the Global Food and Drink Initiative, a multimedia not-for-profit that amplifies Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. As always, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Broadcasting live on The Morning Vibe on August 16th. Beautiful weekend here in Toronto. But Mr. Ryan Knight, come on to the stage. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, glad to be here. Yes, the weekend was beautiful. I didn't check what the rest of the week looks like, but let's carry the weekend vibes right through. So for those that don't know me, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-executive directors at the Afro Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African Caribbean heritage to help them really scale up their companies. And also I'm an entrepreneur myself. I run a social enterprise called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning services, coming to your house or to your office to clean your car without using any water. And of course, I'm most proud of our youth entrepreneurship program, which is in full swing. So if, again, you have a high school or college student that is sitting at home, not working, could use extra money to pay for school that's coming up in September, please send them my way. We are still bringing on some youth. So excited about the boys that might come on.
And even at this late stage of the summer, you're still taking people?
Yeah, the program actually runs right to December. So while they're in school, they can work part-time.
Okay. That's fantastic. That's great. So what was up this weekend?
So this weekend, it was actually my anniversary. So my wife and I on Sunday celebrated 12 years being married, 19 years together. And
wow,
just got to relax.
So next year's a big celebration. 20 years you've known each other?
That's right. Yes.
Wow. We'll have to find out how all of that happened. 7 years she put up with you before you popped the question? What?
And I don't know how I feel about the women proposing, because in today's day and age, she might have proposed and did that whole spectacle that I'm seeing on YouTube and TikTok happening, where I'm seeing women getting fed up waiting and they just propose to their men. So how do you feel about the women proposing?
I don't care. Well, whoever makes the first move, right? Like,
but can a man say no?
That's a whole other Morning Vibe. That's a Morning Vibe series,
right?
That's not a Morning Vibe show. That's a Morning Vibe series. But it's so interesting, the different interpretations of roles in when it comes to gender is
Absolutely.
a whole conversation in itself these days.
Yes.
I was chatting with some people this weekend about the whole thing about a lot of men are afraid to even ask women on a date now because of all the different things that are going on in society about accusations, this, that, the whole, it's a whole different landscape in regards to relationships and gender stuff.
I've also seen that the muscle that we had to strengthen when we were in high school was being in a club, seeing somebody that you don't know, and going up to them and trying to like sell yourself, like you don't know them from Adam. Now, because
it's all done online,
it's all on, yeah. So everybody has like this courage, a keyboard courage, and they can type anything. And you know, Tinder, you're just swiping. But in real life, when you're dealing with the like the chemicals that when you're meeting someone, your heart's pounding, and you have to like build that muscle to get over it and talk to a stranger that you might like. I don't feel like that strength is there right now. Like people are they'll just kind of figure out the woman's name and then go search them online and find them on Facebook and send them a message instead of going up to them and talking to them.
Well, it's interesting to see those. I remember, well, this is a nice twist. I remember a long time ago, someone told me the people who are single want to be with someone, and there's a lot of people there with someone that don't want to be with them. So that's
that might have been Chris Rock,
right? So yes. I think the whole area, it's a whole other conversation and series. But I think for Black men, Black men are under a lot of challenges these days, even more than ever these days, because it seems that. But I'm not even going to go there because that'll just disrupt the whole conversation for today. But I just think there's a lot of challenges for Black men, and also too, and Christopher Lawrence is on fire. Hashtag keyboards, courage, love it, Chris, love it. I just believe that relationships these days is just such a mess, and let's be honest, there are some ladies out there that are predators. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to go there. That there's a story in the United States, basketball player. He's like 17, 18 years old, just finished his first year in the NBA. And before he got his contract, he was dating a lady that was in her 25 years old, older lady. Okay. And one of the things, she's quite interesting because one of the things she put out was an Instagram live about 2 or 3 years ago saying, ladies, if you want to get rich, find an athlete and get pregnant.
Come on.
She said that. Oh yeah, it's right true. Because her philosophy was, hey, you know what? Even if you break up with him, he's gonna have to pay custody. And this guy got suckered in, she ditched him, and now he is stuck with so that the whole landscape of relationships and intentions, and let's put it this way, marriage, especially this, is a contract.
Absolutely.
It's a contract, and you got to know what assets you're bringing and what assets your partner is bringing. And I don't know, and I always find it interesting the big elaborate weddings that end up in divorce a year or two after. And that's a whole other conversation. Go ahead.
Well, it's funny that when you're talking about the elaborate weddings, because usually the divorce will still cost you more than that elaborate wedding. So, but
yeah.
Oh man, that's wild. And it happens like that. She said that out front.
Oh yeah. There are. Look, we all know, especially in the areas of professional athletics. Hey, they're targets.
Absolutely. But they're
targets,
tough.
Right?
Yeah,
they are targets, and especially these young guys, they get their first big contract. Do they have any education about financial literacy, let alone dealing with the groupie of ladies?
Mm-hmm.
You also have to deal. How do you know how to handle your money?
True.
All that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of things going into professional athletics that is crazy. And again, of all our, and nothing against athletes, especially Black athletes, but only like 1 or 2% of all the athletes that are really wanting to do it get there.
But then that's where their targets, but that chance of getting to the NBA is such a small percentage.
It's minimal. It's minimal. And I know we still have to do it sometime in the near future. We have to talk about this article again that was released last week in the United States, talking about the wealth, blacks going to college in the United States has not shrunken the wealth gap in the United States. And again, I feel it's pretty applicable here also.
Well, it might be like, I want to touch on that because the elections called yesterday, and you wonder who's going to have something like that in their platform to talk about reducing the wealth gap, seeing students getting their diplomas and their degrees, but so locked into debt. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
It's interesting. And I don't, you have your heads, hand, and feet into a lot of the Black environment out there, and I do too. But I don't hear a lot of Blacks talking about student debt.
No, same.
And which is very, very interesting.
Absolutely. And even because us on a small scale, like when youth come through our Detailing Nights entrepreneurship program, we talk about using the summer to pay for post-secondary, so that you're not having to get a loan and being like caught in that. And again, I'm a big proponent of college. I went to Sheridan, an alumni there. And the cost of college, like you're able to work part-time and cover that cost so that you're coming out of school like not fully in debt. When you're going to now university and degrees and it's like $20K a year, it's like
and then how much is it for an international student?
It's like 4 or 5 times,
right? Yeah. I went to school obviously a little bit before you did, and when I was in university, I graduated without any debt.
Okay, you see,
I worked on campus while I was going to school because I said to myself, look, if these people are charging me, it's going to be their money that I'm going to get to
pay it back, recycle
it. Yeah, I graduated with no debt. But the funny thing is, you had said after I graduated, I took a 1-year college course at Humber College in their PR and marketing, and part of it was a work term, and I got more for my career out of that 1 year than the 4 years of university I took.
You see that? And it bothered me that colleges are starting to shift into that university mode where they were known for that tangible, hands-on, you're actually going to get experience in what you're studying. They shouldn't want to lose that, because just becoming like a lecture hall type university isn't what college is known for. And that was something that made them very unique and their niche, to say like, hey, look at that. Your case study of 1 year of college equaled 4 years of theory in university. So that's something that they should definitely lean into. And especially coming out of COVID now, they got railroaded over the last 18 months. And how are you going to attract people to even want to go back into physical buildings when everybody's kind of shifted to online learning? And what's going to make you different?
Well, it's a common, I think, from what I'm hearing from students, and I have a group of students that are working for me, and obviously they're coming to the end of their time working because it's coming up to the end of August, and I've been asking, have you chose your courses yet? Yeah. And the way it looks like the way that they're looking at in their program at Sheridan College, and hail up to Sheridan College, that it's going to be a hybrid. They're going to be doing hybrid starting in September. It's going to be interesting, the whole case of learning. And again, if people want to see a great business model, look at colleges and universities. And I'll preface saying, you want to look at how to run a business, look at their business. You never see them saying they're in debt.
Okay, right. That's a good point.
Well, it's true. That. Have you ever heard of college or university in Ontario saying we're having money problems?
Oh, yeah, never publicly, but I mean, they do.
Yeah, well, if they did, they'd be doing a fundraising drive to do it. But most of the time, they're doing fundraising drives to expand.
Oh, true. Yeah,
right. They got
know how
money.
to run their business.
I almost bet most, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that they got money.
Right.
Even if they didn't build it, or they can also solicit money from private enterprises, things like that. Like, of course, you always see those buildings on the campus named after certain people.
Yes.
Like, for example, Ryerson, when I was younger, Ryerson was a polytechnical institute. Now Ryerson is a university.
Okay. Oh, that's how it's kind of started out.
Yes, it was not always a university, so to speak. It was more like a college, so to speak, the way it was set up. But now it is a university. That reminds me, I got to reach out to Ryerson today about something.
Oh, so did they pause the whole changing the name of Ryerson? Is that kind of
Edgerton Ryerson? I have no idea.
I know it was a thing for a while, but I think
I have no idea at all what's going on with that. I don't hear as many protests or pushback, and the same thing. What's going on with possible changing of the name in Toronto of Dundas Street?
Right.
That was a thing that I've heard, but so be it. Well, last Friday, Ryan became a happy man.
And you wonder, there's a joke that an inside joke with my business partner and Chris Beth Cowie that you know, and it's when I say to her, "The canary's in the cage," that means Ryan has been silenced. And so I wonder, because on Friday, Minister Ng did her big announcement about the Black Ecosystem Fund and the different organizations that got funding. And lo and behold, it turned out ACBN was one of them. So that's the organization I talked about at the beginning, the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. So now we have been approved for $1.3 million to run our programming that supports entrepreneurs. So you have to ask yourself, is that my price to be silent now against the government and not be critical? Because there's various files that
I'm just saying. I'm not saying. Okay. So Ryan, for people who are watching, they may or may not know, like even in Canada, and we may have people watching in the States. Give us some background on this fund.
Sure. So in September of 2020, it was announced that there's a new Black entrepreneurship program being rolled out by the federal government. And it was initially $221 million for the program, which was carved into, or there's three different sections of the program. So there's the Ecosystem Fund, which was money that's going to go to nonprofits that support entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs. There was the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund, which was $128 million to be done with loans. So it was initially in partnership with 6 of the big banks. And then it shifted to a partnership with BDC, and the banks are coming on later. So that's strictly a term loan. And the FACE Coalition was created from 5 organizations 5 Black focused business organizations that formed FACE, and they're adjudicating the loan file. And the third piece was the Knowledge Hub. So they put aside about $6 million to create or enlist an institution that would partner with a Black organization to do research about Black entrepreneurs and create data around the space. So in September, they launched it. Midway through, I think around February, the FACE Coalition was announced. And then May 31st, the loan fund was put out, the applications were open. And so the Ecosystem Fund, it was a call for concepts. And then that would go to your regional development agencies. So for Southern Ontario, that's FedDev. So FedDev would get your concept. And then if it was something that they wanted to go forward with, they would work with you to improve the application and then send it up to the minister's office. So those were due December 2020.
Yep.
And it is now August 13th. It was Friday that they announced who got the money.
For those who are superstitious, interesting. Friday the 13th.
So between December and August is the time it took for them to finalize who was going to get the money and roll it out. My biggest critique was that the loan fund was supposed to build off the ecosystem fund, because the ecosystem was going to help the organizations that work with entrepreneurs to coach them and then get them ready to bring on additional capital, which could be a loan, but it could be various things. It could be like investment or grants. So now what they did was they released it in reverse. So the loan fund went out first, and by Face's own account, they had over 16,000 Black entrepreneurs sign up to their portal. They had over 10,000 start the application, and then they had about 350 that completed the application properly and we're now going to adjudication. So they're going to get their applications assessed and hopefully get money. So if 350 did the applications properly and are now being reviewed, that means, oh my gosh, at least 9,600 Black entrepreneurs are in limbo somewhat. So Face decided that they were going to wait for the ecosystem fund to be finalized by the government before they did anything with these 9,600 entrepreneurs, which I felt like was not a good decision. Because even though it's a lot of entrepreneurs, there are still organizations that are across Canada that support Black entrepreneurs that they could have been sent to so that they could get at least a bit of coaching to see what they did with their application wrong, how can they improve their business plan and their cash flow projections. So all that to say, they made the decision to wait. Now the ecosystem fund is launched. So you had pulled up the list of organizations that got the funding.
I can do that again. So people, Ryan's in public. He's on the internet again.
Yes. And now I'm getting the calls like,
you read my alleged mon. I can imagine you're getting calls.
Yes, that's why it was good. I separated myself from the money. That our treasurer handles all that. So good. Yes, but now that I was talking with a colleague of mine, and they run a directory. Actually, I'll shout her out, Jody Ann. She runs Malcolm's Choice, the Black-owned directory. She's based in Brampton, and the directory is nationwide. So I was telling her, you need to look at this list and see that all these organizations are now mandated to work with Black entrepreneurs. You should be letting them know that you exist so that they can be putting these entrepreneurs on the directory that you already have. And again, I'm curious to find out what the work plan is for each of these organizations, because some of them didn't have like a working relationship with entrepreneurs before. So I'm curious to see what they submitted and what they're going to execute. But it should be public knowledge, but I don't know if it is.
Well, so we're showing on the screen here, if you're watching live and replay, the lists, got Alberta, one organization in BC, one in the Atlantic, BBI, and then a large list of Canadians. Now, I was speaking with someone on the weekend, and there is an organization in here that is targeted to BIPOC, and they said, you know what, they shouldn't be getting any money because they're targeting BIPOC. They're not targeting Black Canadians specifically. Will not give out the name of the organization that's on here.
but that's where people that use BIPOC, you cannot get to generalize, because you can go for stuff that's Indigenous, you can go for stuff that's people of color, and you can go for stuff that's Black. And technically,
but the thing is, this person said would push back to you on that, saying, you know what, Black focus only, not BIPOC, Black focus only. Because so their target, and they say it in their mandate, how much of that money is going to go to Blacks?
Well, and so I bet you the application that they wrote only talked about Black, because they're able to take out of BIPOC. Oh, this grant is for Black, so we can now focus on Black people. So that's why. The term BIPOC, it just generalizes.
See, and that's another conversation topic, because I know there are a lot of people who do not like a lot of Black people do not like the term BIPOC.
Right, because, for that exact reason that we're seeing right now.
It dilutes the Black purpose. And nothing against our indigenous brothers and sisters, but I don't see, again, I'm not everywhere. I'm not City Pulse, but how many indigenous organizations include Blacks?
Right. And should they? Because if we're talking about an indigenous issue, that should be the focus. They shouldn't be generalized into other things that don't have to do with their culture. So then, like this program now, they're going to be focusing on the Black community because they got funding to work with Black entrepreneurs. The indigenous and people of color that they said that they serve, they're not going to be pulled away from that because they're only focusing on delivering this grant, unless they're going to be using the money as best they can to not only support Blacks, which comes into play what your colleague was saying, that their mandate is to support BIPOC. So if they get money, automatically it's going to get dispersed because that's what's in their mandate. And there's really nothing you can do about that because that's general. That's how their organization was built.
Yeah. So they were not pleased about that. I am just right now. I'm gonna put it on my Facebook and YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the link, and also I'm going to do it on my Facebook and YouTube page for people who are watching. You can actually see the link of recipients. We have it live on our screen right now, but obviously once we stop our broadcast, you won't be able to see it on our screen. So you can go to the link that I'm providing here. You can see the list of applicants. Oh, I did it twice on Facebook. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm just going to do this here real quick. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to break after I finish this. Chris has a question, which is interesting. And then we also got to talk about, okay, so what happens now with these 350 applicants in the base? Should they also look at maybe approaching one of these organizations?
Hey, I have my answer. I'll wait till after the break.
Okay,
yes.
So you see the media savvy of Ryan Knight. He's already locked and loaded on this. So we're chatting on the Morning Vibe this morning, August 16th, and also too maybe on the second half of our conversation we'll also talk about there's an election now.
Right.
So
and how might that affect things?
Exactly. So we'll come back, Ryan and Dr. Vibe, and we'll get to your questions and comments on this side. Hold tight, lock it.
Hi, my name is Ryan Oneil Knight, the founder of Detailing Knights and one of the founding members of ACBN Canada. Our vision is to help unite and educate Afrocentric entrepreneurs so they can grow their businesses in a successful and sustainable way. We're helping businesses increase their sales and operations by providing networking, training, and consulting. So as a business owner myself, I found it difficult to find like-minded individuals, especially in my own community, that were doing things on a regular basis to help our businesses grow. ACBN Canada is that solution. We've created this community to surround your business with support to help you increase your sales and your profits. With expert workshops and masterminds to help keep you accountable, come and join us and really get to the next level.
What is up, folks? We are back. Morning Vibe, Dr. Vibe, and Ryan, and we're talking about the successful applicants for the BOP ecosystem. So it's the Echo or Eco? I guess people do.
I would say Eco.
Eco ecosystem program.
Easier for me to say.
And we're just topping out, and also there's an election too. But let's get to, you know what? Christopher had a comment long time. So is the ecosystem fund, is it a loan or a grant?
So the organizations that got the money, it's a grant that they got. And then I know the BBPA got it for their BAIDS program. So they got $5 million. So the BAIDS program is a granting program. So they would also be giving out grants. But yeah.
I won't go into it because there's actually a organization on the list too. I know how I've been told how the breakdown of how you're getting money is going to be broke down. So I'm not going to ask, but I do know about that. So it'll be very interesting to see in light of an election, how all of that goes.
Oh, can you hear me okay? I think it's cutting in and out. But
No? Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, and I don't know that process, which is
you mean
interesting because
I have inside information?
Absolutely.
Oh,
and again,
wow, okay.
like to me, anything that's not the full amount being deposited up front so that we can do what we need to do is gonna cause more structure, more stress.
We'll chat offline. We'll chat offline about that.
And so that's where you're asking before the break about the 350 that now have finished their applications. They're going to get assessed.
Yeah.
100%, they should look at, okay, what organizations in our area or in my area got this money so I can reach out to them and say, hey, I need some support. But those are I'll say cream of the crop based on what FACE is saying. Those did their applications properly and are probably going to get funding and should be fine. It's the other 9,000 plus that they should be looking at, okay, who in my area got funding? And hey, I'm expecting ACBN to get calls too, for them to say, hey, we need a bit more coaching. But they don't. So here's the problem with that. They don't even know which bucket they're in. So at least I know I haven't gotten an email saying, you know what, Ryan, your application for Detail Ignites, it didn't meet the criteria or whatever. You should go to XYZ organization to get support. So right now, you don't know if you're in the 350 that did it properly and is getting assessed, or you don't know you're in the 9,000 that didn't do it properly and need coaching. So everybody's in limbo and can't even look at this list to say, okay, I know I need to go get support. I'm going to go there. They're still waiting for a response from FACE. And maybe that email is queued up to go out at 10 a.m. today. And I'll take back what I said because they were already planning to get this message out there, in which I will applaud them and say, well done. Thanks for getting about time. But up till now, it hasn't been sent out that I've seen.
So just going back a bit, Ryan did mention Malcolm's Choice organization. He was so kind. There is their website address. So there we go. Interesting weekend. The Friday, this announcement, and then yesterday, the election.
So now this is where I talk about being silenced. So they dropped that announcement on Friday. The election gets called on Sunday. There's now, 30 organizations so those 30 organizations, now their network, people that are connected to them, see that they got this money, see that money is from the liberals. Does that now lock in a pool of voters? Because what liberals can now say is hey, if we don't get elected and get back in, you're going to lose all those commitments. And that's $59 million. So the Black community is talking about, oh, you guys need money, especially for Black entrepreneurs. We gave you $59 million to work with Black entrepreneurs. We're good now, right? But then, so now what you're alluding to is that money isn't even going to be dispersed 100% not by September 20th, when the election is going to be, we're going to be going to the polls. So on a promise and a hope and a prayer, we're locked in to a party because they've promised us money. Is that accurate? To me, yeah, it's very difficult to speak out against somebody that's promising you $1 million. So what? All this time up to September 20th, it's oh, you can't say nothing because that's going to affect your money. And then it's also going to affect the money of everybody that is going to get paid from this money. So it's not just Ryan being affected. It's now a circle around Ryan and a ripple effect around Ryan again, because all the entrepreneurs that are going to get supported. You don't want to be the person that jeopardizes all that. And that's where I'm starting to realize how money entraps people into loyalty, even though the money is not even in my bank account. So literally it is it's in the ether, and already you're locked into silence. To me, it's wild how mind games, like psychology. Like these people know what they're doing. This isn't by accident. Like this is the MO. But again, maybe I should shut my mouth because I'm just by talking, I might be jeopardized. I'm gonna get a call later. Oh, we actually ran out of funding and you're not gonna get funded. Anything can happen. I've seen money get pulled from grants that we were qualified for before. So it's not new to me to be promised money and then that money be taken away. So that's where I was saying until that money clears the bank, I can't be silent about things that I'm going through in my interactions with the government.
Okay. I've used this message, this term before. I'm going to use it again. Quid pro quo. Quid pro quo came up a lot during the former president of the United States, during his impeachment inquiry.
Yes.
It's a Latin phrase used in English to mean exchange of goods and services in which one transfer is contingent upon another. Quote, a favor for a favor, unquote. Phrases with similar meanings include, quote, give and take, unquote. Quote, tit for tat, unquote. Quote, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, quote, unquote. And one hand washes the other. All right. So I'll just leave it at that.
And those rules of the game, I'm not versed in.
Oh, Sophia Jacob. What? Good morning, Sophia from Ottawa. Talk up the things, Ryan. Wow, you're not renouncing your campaign yet, are you?
Listen, my campaign, it's no secret. I live in Brampton. I want to represent Brampton. What level I represent Brampton is to be, well, not party politics, most likely councillor or regional. So, hey, the election's happening next year. Get your what's it called?
Are you listening to what you're saying?
I'm not denying I would love to run for councillor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
But yeah. But these games, I don't know if I have the stomach for these games. Because you're messing with people's lives based on locking them into loyalty for you based on this quid pro quo that they're not getting as much as you're getting. Like if you look at this whole time from September, the initial launch till now, not one dime, $0 has gone into a Black entrepreneur's bank account.
It's interesting you're mentioning that because yesterday on my Black Canada Talking platform, we did a replay and a guest couldn't make it. He had a medical challenge and he couldn't make it. And we said, wow, well, what are we going to do for a replay? And since the next election was announced yesterday, we did a replay of an event that I co-hosted last June called Are You Listening? And what it was a group of Black Canadians asking questions or / making demands of the federal government. So watching that replay and I'm saying, how many of these have been acted upon? Because it was person after person after person. It was an hour and a half. So lots of people making
the ones that with Greg Fergus, like when we were doing the budget thing.
No, this was basically no politicians were on, but politicians were watching, and we were saying we're inviting you to hear what we have to say. No, we did. I hosted, I co-hosted. It was basically Black Canadians right across this country making different demands or requests from the federal government.
Right. And
if people want the link, I can certainly get it for you. But it was it's interesting to watch a little bit after how many of these things have gone through.
Well, so it reminded me of the consultations we did for the budget. If you remember, we got to have our 2 minutes and we were presenting to the federal government about what we would like to see in the upcoming budget. I would love to watch a replay of that because the budget was announced. So out of all those things that people put forward and we're looking to see in the budget, how many of those actually got in? Would love to see that number.
And I guess some people, one of the things now I'm putting on, if I'm a Liberal Party person, say, well, you know what, because we have a minority government, we can't get through all the things we want to. So this is one of the reasons they won't. I have a feeling they won't tell you up front, but this is one of the reasons why they want to get an election out, because they want to get a majority, and they're thinking because the government has been, in some people's minds, some others maybe not, helpful during the pandemic. This is the best time to get voter sentiment while you're being helped during a crisis.
Yeah, but I wonder if it took anybody off the fence. Like, to me, what they're banking on is like the NDP not having enough money to run a strong campaign, and those voters having to go liberal to get them the majority. Because those that voted conservative, they've been quite vocal that the government hasn't done enough. So I'm not seeing any conservative converting. And again, the liberals, if you voted liberal, you feel like they could do no wrong, and what they've done has been great. You love the CERB, you love SEBA, you love the wage subsidy, you love all the billions of dollars that rolled out. So who's the swing vote?
Well, I think in the GTA, we are in Toronto. Definitely the black vote will be part of it. I think, and I just thought about it now, potentially a big swing vote will be young people.
Okay.
That will be a big, so you think about a lot of people in restaurant industry, like servers and all that. So they've had their wages supplemented during all of this stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially where young people vote, because every election, more and more young people get into the eligible voting category.
Right.
In those things. But also, how are Indigenous people going to vote? Right. With all the things that have happened to their community over the hundreds of years. And, what is going to be, if at all, Prime Minister Trudeau's blackface during this campaign?
Oh dear, you're expecting something, eh?
Well,
there's always something. That's why it's a short election.
Well, you want to get in the political game. You know that there's things, people are going to do things. It's not a kind game, politics. So you know that the Conservative Party is going to try to find something, and especially now since it's a 30-day campaign.
That's the thing, because it's so short. I wonder if that's strategic to keep people from finding things within that window, unless they already have it in their back pocket waiting to unleash. But
not only short campaign, but it's how much potential are people going to be paying to the election? Because look, many people are still trying to overcome the pandemic. Right. It's back to school.
Yep.
Right. Going on. Just those two things in itself, how focused are people going to be? And it'll be interesting to see what the turnout to the polls is going to be. Right. But also too, this will probably be the first election where mail-in balloting is going to go through the roof. They're going to have to deal. That's a whole other conversation. This will be the first election in the history of this country where mail-in ballots will probably be certainly could be a significant amount of the vote tally.
Very true. A lot of variables, and they have, I would assume, a lot of smart people in a room saying,
"Oh, don't worry,
this is the time," because it all worry about that.
Look, this was calculated. The launch of the election, as I think I had shared on this platform a while back. I got an email 2 months ago asking from someone saying an election is coming.
Right.
Would you be interested in continuing my campaign? And the interesting thing is, the person who sent me this email, the representatives, I'm not even in his writing.
Right. They jumped the gun a little bit there.
I'm not even in his writing. They got
excited.
And I think they did send me another email even before the election was announced. So I got 2 emails from this candidate's office before the election was out. And again, I'm not even in their writing.
Well, the election was like the worst kept secret. Like, we knew it was coming sooner or later, but then, like those games and those rules, I'm not versed in. So I'm gonna be watching TV and learning more about the strategy and why they decided and how it turns out.
Let me encourage a lot of people who are watching this live on the replay, especially if you are from Canada. Follow me on whatever social media, especially on Twitter and or Facebook. I will be having conversations with a number of organizations, they've already put out a request out to Operation Black Vote in regards to the election. So follow me on the different platforms, and you'll keep you up to date. But I'm going to go full in regards to this election. So it's a 30-day. It's going to be quick, and I already have some people lined up in regards to this upcoming election. Final thoughts on this on the Friday announcement, man?
Oh, something came to my mind, and it was if you watch stocks, like if you trade stocks and you listen to polling, you'll notice that the liberals are on a downswing and the conservatives are on an upswing. So that's where I wonder if this strategy might backfire, because if the trend continues, they could lose, like not just not getting a majority, but possibly not even getting elected at all.
Yeah, you never know if this
just by watching how things are. Yeah.
And again, if the conservatives win this election, what happens to the money that was listed on Friday?
It's in the ether. I feel like it evaporates. We have to start all from scratch. That's why I'm just putting this, like you said, you always talk about trauma, repetition, and symbolism.
Yep.
The symbolism of that money that was promised in September, literally a year later on September 20th, could evaporate. They did nothing to roll out any money between the announcement in September of 2020 and the I'll bet Face doesn't roll out any funds until after the election of September 20. So now that whole year, they got to spend $0 on the Black community. No money has gone into Black entrepreneurs' hands over that entire year. And by the time the election finishes, we could have a whole new party in power, and that promise is completely gone. So yeah, just watch. It's propaganda. If that happens, it was all propaganda. It was all a ploy to get Black entrepreneurs and their network and the organizations that support them and their network to be locked into the liberals until this election happens, and then they'll figure it out afterwards. This is data. This is not Ryan's opinion. These are observations and facts. No money rolled out. It was announced in September, and no money could roll out if the election doesn't go well. And that is contingent on Black people voting for the liberals because of these promises. If that's what we're about, hey, God bless us. We hope that it all works out in the best. We're seeing the money that's promised. It's transparent. You can see how much money ACBN's getting. We're here to make sure that entrepreneurs win. This money will help us make more entrepreneurs win, but no money is in our bank account, period. So we are in the same position that we were in August of 2020, before any announcements were made. We had to find our own way. We had to self-fund our own microloan program. We had to self-fund our own marketing agency. We had to self-fund our grant writing programs and got other grants that have been deposited in. Between the time that the government announced this, ACBN's been able to get 3 other grants that have deposited into our bank account before the federal government put money into our bank account. How embarrassing is that? To me, that is embarrassing, that the federal government couldn't roll out this Black entrepreneurship program within the same year that it was announced. They had 3-4 months to get money into our hands, and they chose not to. Worse, they've actually taken an entire year, and no money is in our bank accounts.
And this may be I'm just role playing. The liberal government will say, hey, if you give us a majority, these things can get into action faster.
Thank you very much. Hey, that's the quid pro. Thank you. But we didn't get anything. You're asking for something before you give it. You gave a promise. Hey, I could promise to vote for you too. Sure, I might vote for you if money gets deposited into my bank account before September 20th. If that doesn't happen, there's no promises from Ryan Knight to vote for you. And I would say the same to my network. Just because ACBN got money, don't make that lock you into the liberals because of a promise. You have to see tangible stuff. they did this game with the indigenous people. It was only after they found those bodies that they unlocked the money to make sure that they get clean drinking water.
Yeah.
This game can't continue. We have to figure out how to stop this game from continuing forward. I don't know how to stop it because it's above my pay grade, but it can't continue. This does not work.
I have some thoughts, but again, that's another that's another conversation. And we're near the top. We're past the top here, but Ryan's not wearing a tie, so that's why he's all in today.
Yes.
He doesn't have his tie on, so he's all in today. I would just encourage, if you're going to vote, when the representatives come to your door or give you a phone call, ask them what have they and what are they going to do for the Black Canadian community.
Yes, like point blank, cut through the fluff. Don't give me
just be straight. Just be straight. Ask them what they're going to do. And first of all, it'll be interesting to see if they have a quick response. Because right there, you may catch some of them off guard because they won't even think, oh, that's a good question.
Right. That they hadn't thought of. Like that should spark
that
your
should tell
own
you
mind.
that could tell you right there that they're taking you for granted.
Thank you. Exactly. And this is a message to the Conservatives and NDP too. I remember sitting down with Jagmeet Singh when he did his roundtable because of the Trudeau blackface. And I asked him, what's your plan for the Black community? And he didn't have one. So
right across the board. Yeah. Ask the people.
Conservatives,
right
same thing.
Right across the board.
They have not put their plan on the table.
Each party should have a plan that's documented.
I want to see it in your what do you call it? Your speaking notes or
party platform.
Thank
party
you.
Platform.
Yeah, show it to me, black and white, on your website. If you get elected, this is how you're going to empower the Black community in all areas of the Black community. I come from that economic lens. So yes, I'm going to ask about how you're going to support Black entrepreneurs, but we need to understand how you're going to support our community in health, education, justice, and the social realm. All those 5 pillars. I feel like I'm giving myself homework to put this onto a postcard so that we can mail it to all Black residents and say, when they come to your door, ask them about these 5 things. And I'll give a shout out to Francis Bradshaw here in Brampton that talked about that strategy and how do we actually unify and collaborate. And when these politicians come to our door, we are prepared with our answers and questions to say, this is what is important to me. Show me how you're going to do these things. Otherwise, I do not have time to talk to you. And you lost my vote because you don't have a plan.
Well, I wouldn't say you lost them, but to say, well, I can't commit to you. I've got to see what other people have to say.
You ain't getting no lawn sign on my yard.
No, that's and I think people should do that. They should be right up front.
100%. I'm gonna do that postcard. If you want a postcard from Ryan Knight, put in the comments your address or email me and I will get you a postcard how to talk to these political folks.
I'll put your email address in the chat if you're so brave. Or I can do it if you want, or you can do it since.
Well, you have my email. Hold on, I'll put it right here.
Yeah, put it in there because I'm not hired as your media representative yet, so I don't want to get any entanglements.
All right.
Let me just put it out there. So he's put in the chat, and I'm going to put Ryan's email address.
They didn't give us time to. We should have already had this ready to go. Like that's why politically we are lacking, and that's got to change. And maybe we won't, unify or strategize properly for this election, but this we have to use as a learning tool. I am not versed in politics, but I'm willing to learn. And hey, I'm willing to learn from you and anybody else that's more versed. You have to run these sessions to say, come and listen to how politics works. And I'll do my best to get people there. But this is not something that we can be complacent about. We have to understand the ins and outs. Operation Black Vote. We are ready for your sessions. Call the meeting. And
I want to shout out Jackson. Great insightful conversation for the Jane and Finch economic community. Thank you, Jackson. Certainly. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed our ramble, if you want to call it, but definitely Thank you, Jackson. And Ryan and myself have
Appreciate that,
given our
Jackson.
email addresses. So if you have any questions, comments, if you want us to host conversations on specific topics, as I said, I am doing my best to get different political representatives on the platform. I have actually made a request to Minister Ng to come on the program.
That's great. Talk about the big announcement.
And there's another thing too that disappointed me. For those who watch that announcement, you notice at the end they say we'll take questions, and it cut off. Now, so my question is, who was allowed to ask questions, and what did the people look like that were allowed to ask questions?
I know there was a couple of Black media outlets that weren't there.
I wasn't.
You weren't. That's what I'm saying.
It's actually and I had a little concern because the way they did the simulcast was messy. Because
which was strange.
Because I was there waiting on their Facebook page, and I'm waiting, and then I called someone, and they actually were streaming it through Zoom, their Zoom page, and hooked me into that. But I'm waiting. Okay, like it's 10 minutes past, 15, 20 minutes past. I'm going, how come there was not a notification on the? It wasn't.
The Facebook just wasn't working properly.
It wasn't working at all.
So many people, and I've never seen that happen.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I thought, am I the only one not getting this?
Same. And we were doing a watch party too, and we're like, everybody's trying to get in on their own. There was like 30 people that couldn't.
Yeah.
And then one person got it, and then we were listening through them. One person was able to get through, and we're like,
I caught the gist. They did have 3 or 4 organizations speak live, but I just went, okay, interesting. The ones you had on.
Thank you. They didn't even announce who got it.
No.
At minimum, that could have been just the whole presentation.
Yeah.
These organizations got X, and now let's get to work.
Well, and it would have been a good, I think it was an opportunity miss. They should have at least ran the link that we've provided today of all the organizations, instead of people saying, how do I find it? Do I find it? Right?
We got money and didn't even know that link existed. Somebody else sent it to me and was like, oh, because they sent me congratulations, and then they sent me a screenshot. I was like, oh, where did you get that? And then they sent me the link.
Wow, I thought that only happened to professional athletes that are traded, and they have to find out through social media. Wow.
So and how am I supposed to feel?
So you're telling me it was someone from your community that told you you got money before you got an official call?
So we got a call from FedDev like a half hour before the announcement saying, hey, it went through. But that list, Minister Ng's office didn't call us and say, hey, you know what? Check it out. You're on the site. We're going to, and they didn't plan to mention the people in the announcement. So why would they call?
I was a little disappointed in that. I thought because it's public knowledge.
Yeah, and we could have got like a little bit of publicity. That's a national stage that they're on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate. I just thought that it wasn't smooth. It was very clunky, and I just went, okay, all right. But you know what? Let's move forward. And again, everyone, ask your representatives who want your vote. What are you doing or planning to do for the Black community? Do you have it as part of your party platform?
Yes.
And please email us what reactions you get. Because what we would love to do is, I just thought about it. We should make a long list of promises from each party.
Right. Yes.
On what they're promising to do.
Yes.
I like that. That's my call to action for everyone. If you're going to be if you're going to vote and you get in contact with any of the representatives, ask them, what are they planning to do for Black Canadians? And if you could send it to either Ryan or myself, and we will collect a list. And now we can have a tangible accountability list.
Solid.
For their actions. Have a tangible accountability list. So if I vote for you, what does it get for me?
Right.
Because there's voting blocks, right? And folks, look at what goes on in the United States, right? A lot of Blacks are really upset because the things that they were promised by the current president and vice president, it ain't happening.
Okay.
right? So,
There has to be consequences for that.
well, they're in a little bit of an interesting bind because the alternative is not a great alternative, right? For at least in my opinion, but there's a difference between a conservative and a Republican. That's a whole other conversation in itself too, right?
I'm ready to learn about that.
There's a difference between a Republican and a conservative. So, especially the conservatives that are these days, that's a whole other conversation.
Yes.
All right, we are done. What's up for the rest of the week?
I saw 8 phone calls come in while we were just chatting. So I gotta check my voicemail and see if I pissed off somebody.
Or people want your help. Oh no.
Hey, I would rather those calls. If you're calling for me to support and help, 100%, I'm ready to get to work. Look, I'm like not in my suit and tie. It's go time. But if you're calling because you're a liberal supporter and I pissed you off, I apologize, but I don't know how to not talk the truth about what is happening and what I'm experiencing in my interactions with these people. So I don't know if I'll be able to change. But again, maybe they'll put the canary in the cage because they gave me $1 million plus and I should not be chatting. Maybe it's a call to be like, listen, do you want this money or not? You better shut your mouth. Then you'll see me on the Friday show. If I'm quiet and don't say anything about liberals, I got a call and I got the message. So we shall see.
I'm not left wing. I'm not right wing. I'm both wings.
Hey, 2 wings of the same bird, right?
No, for a lot of people, they are. So you've got a crazy week as usual?
Yeah. Well, not crazy. No. Like I said, I'm literally ready to learn about what politics entails. I'm gonna watch more of your shows, talk to some colleagues of mine that are more versed. I'm curious. I would encourage you, especially I'm already promoting it for next Sunday. I have my my bi-weekly Black Canada Talking Roundtable. I'll have L. Jones, Sarah Ayango, who lives in Ottawa, Warren Clark is scheduled to be on there, and also Robert Small. Okay.
So the things are going to be flying in regards to the election.
Yes.
In regards to that, and I'll be hosting conversations in between. As I said, 1 or 2 organizations I've reached out to them over the weekend and say, hey, when do you want us to be on? How long is it going to be, et cetera, et cetera. And I also have some things I'm working on that I'm not going to share about yet to make the election forefront amongst the pandemic, amongst kids going back to school.
And I'll leave this with the viewers. If you're wondering why I push back so hard against the liberals, ask your representative about the Black procurement pilot. Whatever happened to that? Just ask anybody that you know in government about the Black procurement pilot and watch the answers that you get. To me, that's why the ecosystem fund is one thing. There's many portfolios that the government holds. All of them need to be held accountable. So whoever is in charge of working with the government about the Black procurement pilot, I need to know what is going on because it seems like that has totally gone silent too. So I'll think about it, how they're treating us when you ask about that program.
All right, folks, we're winding it down here. So on Friday, since we're on Monday and Fridays, on Friday, we have the lady in charge of the Dufferin County Canadian Black Association. And it's going to be a great conversation. She reached out to us a little while back, Alethea O'Hara Stevenson, and she's going to be with us on Friday morning, and she's going to talk about Black activity in that area. I know maybe, and we'll ask her what's going on politically in their area town, and just outside of Toronto. So we're going to get the people who are on the inside and can tell us what's going on in their community. Outside of that, as always, we like to say, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. Thank you, ACBN Canada. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Sophia Jacob from Ottawa. Thank you, as always, Christopher. Haven't got your email yet, Christopher. We are waiting. I am waiting for my email that you said you were going to send me. because you mentioned it on last Friday's program. So I'm watching you. I'm watching you, and I'm not going to call you out publicly. So
I think you already did.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
It's all love. So, it's all love.
It's all love. So let me just say, be well, keep the faith, and I'm going to do a real quick reading of something here to close out. Normal does not. This is called "Normal is the Enemy." Normal does not exist. If it does, it should be something that, coming out of the pandemic, we actively try to avoid. Instead, we should be creating a new normal, a new world, one built around what we have learned over the last 16 months. As you go back into the world, vaccinated, chastened, wiser for what you've experienced, you must create a better life. You should be preserving the things that you have learned, that you tried over the last you. You should be making changes based on what you experience. You should be stronger and more prepared for things to change again, because they will. Normal does not exist. Believing in it is the enemy. So that's our reading for today. So as we go, have a great week, everybody. We look forward to Friday. Thanks again. Keep the faith.